Alright guys, welcome to this first episode of this NHL 25 Seattle Kraken franchise mode. Before we jump into it, we gotta go actually check out the Seattle roster and just make sure that things look semi-accurate to how I expect them to look. That's really what we're gonna start off this franchise mode with here. So really, for the most part, I don't have too many problems with the roster. I think a lot of the players do have fairly accurate ratings based on how they played, where it's like there's no superstars on Seattle. 87's our highest rated players in Montour and Dunn. It's going to be a sweet top pairing for the next 3 years. But besides that, like a few prospects here and there, honestly, I would probably make the argument Shane Wright he could probably be a playmaker over a two-way forward. Like Beniers is obviously a two-way forward. But besides that, yeah, I would make the argument that Shane Wright's probably a playmaker over a two-way forward. So we'll probably make that change. Besides that, I don't see the need to really change too many other ratings. Daccord being higher rated than Grubauer makes sense to me. So, okay, we'll make that one change on Shane Wright. Just change his play style. That's it. Obviously, X factors are still going to develop. We're going to work on player development as we get through this actual franchise mode, but we are also going to go and take a look at what is at least ranked by this ESPN article that I've pulled up, or sorry, not ESPN, the Hockey Writers article that I've pulled up. We're going to go take a look at each of Seattle's top 10 prospects at least, and just make sure that their ratings seem accurate to what they're projecting to be at least. Alright, so as we get this thing started, I am interested this year to see if they actually corrected the AHL standings, just simply because they would come out so misaligned. You would have 10 teams in the AHL Pacific division, and then you'd have like 6 or 7 teams in the Central and Atlantic divisions, which was just made no sense. So let's go over to the Seattle Kraken. They're going to be a fun team to play with. Obviously, we're probably going to be a fringe competitive team. It's not going to be anything insane. We are 88 overall, so we're competing with teams like Edmonton, Vegas, Vancouver, and then there's a few other weak teams in our division that we should be able to beat consistently. The best team in the entire league looks to be the Dallas Stars at 91 overall. The Rangers are a 90. The Lightning are a 90. Sabres are an 89. Okay, then. I got nothing to say about that. That's something else. But yeah, besides that, I would really, I know it's not coming until next season, but I would really love Utah to actually pick a freaking team name rather than the hockey club. And also, shout out, congratulations to Clayton Keller, who finally got named the captaincy in Utah. That took far too long. So for settings here, we're going to be playing GM firing off, fantasy draft off. We are going to play owner mode on just because I like having control of my finances a little more. Head coach is not allowed to touch our lines because they always mess it up pretty much. And alright, besides that, we will get into some other nuances here of the settings. So we are going to have, I think we'll go 5-minute periods. Right now we're going to have them listed on All-Star. We're not going to be playing at all. And the other thing we're going to do is we are going to put trade difficulty on, we'll keep it on medium for now, but there is a very good chance that I bump that up because otherwise I just abuse the trading system usually, so we're not going to do that. Another thing we will do is get our scouting set up properly. That is going to be a big part of the series, is that we are going to be able to get draft steals throughout, so we're going to do no auto scouting whatsoever, and auto staff management's off. I will be doing a little system setup here for setting everything else up. We're going to go fully healed on injuries, no head coach adjustment for the NHL, and then obviously we'll auto rotate goalies. We're going to keep, I think we're going to go, we might do a spinner on this one, kind of like we did in my Draft to Glory series, where we do a spin wheel that has prospect quality versus draft class quality. Right now we'll keep it on medium for the first year, see how it turns out. If it's bad, which I mean it might be, if it's bad, then we will go and adjust that. And sim engine shot frequency I tend to leave on high. It just comes out a little more accurate for the actual stats and everything else. As far as gameplay sliders go, the only thing we're going to touch here is injuries. Bump these down to about, we'll go 15 and 20%. Or no, sorry, we'll go 15 and 10% for those two, and then everything else I pretty much leave untouched besides, we'll bump attribute effects up to 6, I think, and then that's about it. So, alright, that is it for the settings. We are ready to go. I'm not doing assisted strategies or anything like that, and we are now part of the Seattle Kraken franchise. Alright, so guys, we're going to get all of the menu spam tabs and stuff here. Honestly, the menu looks great. I'm quite happy with it. But we are going to first and foremost go to our scouting staff, or I guess assigned scouts. So we'll get that set up. Doesn't look like the scouting's really changed too much, if I'm being completely honest. So we do have some pretty solid looking scouts here, mainly over in like Liga and SHL kind of regions. So that is sweet. But yeah, we are going to have to do but I'm going to set up a very specific balance, or a specifically tailored staff for this team. So yeah, I'll kind of just cut here and then we'll go to it once I've hired all the staff and we'll go, okay, here's the actual scouting staff now. Alright guys, so I'm on the first step of finishing my scouting setup. It's, not that it's messy, but it's going to take a while. Okay, here's the contract screen this year. The only addition there really is the clause. We got a lot of clauses on this team, so that's going to make things a little bit more tricky to deal with and dance around, but I'm sure it'll be okay. The youngest guy on this team is Shane Wright at 20 years old. Obviously, Beniers is only 21 as well, but yeah, that's where we're at right now. If we go to the system here, obviously we have some pretty solid players throughout, but the main ones being Firkus and Catton. And then, you know, we have forward depth coming up the system. It's just a matter of, are they all going to develop properly? Are certain guys going to not develop properly? Who knows? Fisker Molgaard looks really good. He's also a playmaker. Lashko definitely has a chance as well. So yeah, we are stacked on it. Like, we do not need to draft left wingers. We got Julius Miettinen, who's also a very good player. So keep an eye on him. And yeah, besides that, you know, I'm pretty happy with our system here. Oh, I forgot we got Clark Caswell in like a 5th round. He's obviously not as good of a prospect as you would kind of hope for. But again, another left-wing playmaker. So I think Seattle's got a trend started here, and now it's just a matter of not breaking that trend, but just drafting elsewhere. Honestly, the main cause of concern for me with the Seattle Kraken system is the top-end defense. Like, obviously, there are some depth defenders here. They are small, though. 5'11". I guess Dragicevic is actually pretty big. He's 6'2". But then, yeah, Ty Nelson's only 5'10" as well. Price has got some size at 6'1". But yeah, then after that, that's kind of it, like, for top defensemen. So that's something we will be keeping an eye on and probably looking to improve throughout the drafts here. Obviously, getting top-end big defensemen would be a really positive thing for this team. And speaking of which, this is cool. I like how owner mode looks this year. It's a lot cleaner than it has been in the past. But, you know, I just want to take a sneak peek at the draft coming up. And alright, looks like Nikolai Ulanov is going to be the top guy. Oleg Petrov, pretty solid looking prospect there. And then this Uriel Stapleton is another player to keep an eye on. I didn't check potentials on a lot of these players, so I have no idea how good or bad they're going to be. I'm pretty sure Daggle's got elite potential. And after that, I mean, like, why is Matthew Schaefer at pick 43? That just seems outrageous to me that he's that low rated in the draft. As far as other, like, goalies go, I thought we were going to see, yeah, Ravensburg is a lot lower down the board than I thought, so maybe we'll look to draft him. He's obviously a top-end name in real life this year, but we're not playing real life. We're playing franchise mode. Kiloma, maybe going to be good. Who knows? Again, we're going to get scouting done on all of these players here in just a moment once we're actually set up with our scouting staff. But also something else. I'm honestly, the first couple seasons, guys, I'm not super set on like messing around with the lines every couple of games. I really think that just kind of letting this team sit back and play is going to be beneficial to a bunch of players. Obviously, it'd be nice to have Wright further up the lineup, but that's probably going to stunt his development. So yeah, we're just going to kind of play this as it goes and not really question too many of our decisions with the lineup. I think it's going to be okay. Obviously, not a lot has changed in the lineup settings here. This is very similar to last year. And yeah, should be fun. Should be... I think our team's going to be just like fringe playoffs, pushing the wild card spot. Like, we're really not going to be much better than that this first season. And it's not like there's a whole bunch of free agents we could go out and sign to make the team significantly better. Obviously, we don't have the money for a guy like Seth Jarvis or Thomas Harley, but you never know exactly how it's going to play out. So essentially what we've done so far up to this point, before I realized I had the menu music turned on and it was probably becoming a copyright claim or something like that. Before I realized that, we didn't do much, honestly. We really just did the save setup, and we did upgrade a couple prospect ratings for the Seattle Kraken, so you'll be able to see those players here coming up right away. Namely, Berkeley Catton, we upgraded him to 74 from 71 overall. I thought that was a fair rating. Firkus up by like 2 or 3 ratings to 75. Rekop up by 2 ratings to match Yanni Nyman's overall. And then that was pretty much it. We didn't really adjust too many others besides Caden Price. We gave high top 6 potential and a 68 overall rating. And that was it. Everybody else, besides one of our goalies here in Nicholas Coco, we bumped him up from 71 to 73. Again, still going to take time for all those guys to develop, so that was really all we did for prospect editing. Besides that, up to this point, I've gone and done a whole bunch of scout hiring. We haven't actually gotten them hired yet because I have been slowly and steadily, as you can see, we only have 10 scouts currently, but I've slowly and steadily been doing all of the season goals here. Kind of, it's going to be off camera. You guys obviously aren't going to see it because it is so tedious and slow. But that's where we're at currently. So yeah, honestly though, I'm really not super impressed with how this system works so far. It's pretty lame and tedious. Versus you could just go in, have a big not scroll menu, but like a slider bar menu that has like you tick to the left or right for each player. You could have it almost more like the contract screen. I don't think I've ever heard anybody complain about the contract screen as to how it's set up. It just makes far too much sense as to how it's set up. So, yeah, we're gonna just finish off. I think that's the last one for the conversation. Then we get to advance a couple days, finally. But yeah, we'll move forward here. Here's our owner goals for the season. We are expected to have 18 home wins and boost fan happiness to 82. I don't know what it's currently at, so we'll keep an eye on that. Team chemistry also is a factor there. But yeah, we'll go a couple more days here. And all right, now we're going to start getting players, which I need to keep track of. All right, next round of scouting's done, so that means we can actually start simulating here. So before we really get into that, I do just want to check our team ratings, see what we're rolling with for this season. So we'll simulate up to our first game here. And all right, it's going to be against the St. Louis Blues on what is Tuesday, October 8th. That's coming up quickly here, actually, now that I look at it. But yeah, we'll hit play game, just see the ratings. I'll track that, and then we'll go. So our team ratings this year that are hitting, of course, behind my face cam because they pretty much always will be, are, there goes the face cam, 90 overall offense, 88 defense, and 85 goaltending. So a pretty solid team here to start off the season in Seattle. Nothing outrageous or insane, but we definitely have some solid players here. All right, and we'll simulate up to the AHL game here, where as far as we're concerned, all right, we start off the season with a 5-2 win, so very solid there. But yeah, as far as the Coachella Valley Firebirds are concerned, hopefully we're on the other side. Of course we're not. All right, move the face cam again, and we've got 68 offense, 75 defense, 73 goaltending. Yeesh, that is a pretty weak AHL team. I'm sure it'll get better over the next couple seasons, but somehow, that Coachella Valley Firebirds team is like borderline winning the league every single season down in the AHL. So don't ask me how that works, but yeah, I guess we got good coaches down there or something. So now we will actually get to the proper calendar sim, and we'll start off by just simulating the first month of October and see how we do. We immediately lose Ryker Evans to an injury, so that was really not great. And we start off with a couple more losses there, so we'll get Ryker Evans back in the lineup here. Yeah, when you take a look or take a closer look at this team, you can see it's not the most outrageous or amazing team. It's pretty average, pretty standard for what you'd kind of expect for the AHL. And we definitely want to get, just making sure that we don't have any of the wrong players in this lineup here. So yeah, if we put Evans back in, -2 chemistry, yeesh. All right, so somebody does not match our system all that well, but you know what, that's a pretty common occurrence actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, okay. So we have a few different prospects playing down here in the system, and now that I'm looking at it, we definitely want some more of these guys playing. Guys like David Goyette and Andre Loshko. Those guys should be in the lineup, so probably put them a little bit further down here. Get Loshko in there. Goyette right here. That works for me. If it works for the system, which it barely does, but yeah, okay. And then this is our NHL team currently. We're not going to make too many changes to it, and hopefully we will start winning some more games here, because really the team is solid in front. And there you go. All right, so we get back to a 500 record and then immediately throw it away in a 4-0 loss to the Flyers. So yeah, if I'm being completely honest with this draft class, we're really not too much in the market for the centers here. It's going to be guys more like a defenseman or maybe a winger. I guess, I mean, we could go for a center, but we really don't need one. So as we continue on, we lose to the Flames. We're 3-4. We beat the Avalanche 3-0 though. And yeah. Honestly, guys, I'm probably going to cut most of the calendar sim because the team is just not playing that well to start. But I will be using some of this footage as well for the scouting tutorial that I'm setting up. But yeah, we'll go up to the 11th, which is our next scouting date, and then go from there. So yeah, we started off our first month 4-7, which is not a great start, and it looks like the Kraken are just going downhill from there. We're 5-10, bottom of the division. We might have a good chance at one of these top prospects coming up, but it's not really where we wanted to be as Seattle. Obviously, we wanted to kind of get out of that bottom section of the league, but this team is, we did just finish with the 8th worst record in the league last year. So yeah, the scouting is going to be very, very important for this team's success in the future.
2 hours later.
So there you guys have it. To wrap up the first season of this franchise mode, for the regular season at least, the Seattle Kraken go 39-40-3, putting themselves 4th in the Pacific with 81 points, but missing the playoffs by a good margin, probably about 12 points or so. And that is how it's going to be. Coachella Valley, on the other hand, maybe going to be in a playoff spot. I see they didn't fix the AHL, so we got 10 teams in one division again. That makes no sense, but it is what it is. And yeah, our 81 points puts us well out of the playoff race. Like, St. Louis finished 7th in the Central, and they had 90 points. We finished 4th in the Pacific with 81. So yeah, overall, not a very fabulous season. We were obviously under 500 on the season. 9, yeah, so we're a bottom 9 team or so. It's unlikely we see any movement really at the draft lottery, but I mean, we'll continue simulating here. We're going to go into what would be playoff hockey here in just a moment and see how the playoffs actually shape up, but it should be fun. So guys, overall this season, not bad point production from the majority of the team. Obviously, there's certain guys like Vince Dunn who I would have preferred to have a much better season, but, you know, it is what it is. It's not the end of the world that this team missed the playoffs first season. It's just a little bit lower of an expectation than we were hoping for, but it happens. As far as the goaltending goes, we weren't great in goal. I mean, we had some decent save percentages and goals against, but yeah, overall, just nothing really too outstanding there from anybody on the team. This year, Connor McDavid scores 132 points. At least EA has their sim engine somewhat set properly for, you know, McDavid being 99 overall and McKinnon being 98 overall. Like, that makes sense that a lot of these guys are up there. I'm surprised Kucherov isn't, but then again, Tampa Bay could be seen as not as good a team as some people think they are. But yeah, overall, quite a few 100-point scorers. I'm actually quite impressed with how many 100-point scorers there are. Let's see, even Suzuki scored 102. That's kind of insane. 5, 6, 7 up to Pasternak, and then yeah, okay, so we had 100. We had 11 100-point scorers this year. Best goal scorer in the league, pretty obviously Nathan McKinnon with 64 goals. Bedard is up there too, which, you know, does make sense. He's 19 years old, 90 rated. He's an absolutely filthy goal scorer. Most assists goes to Cale Makar with 97. Connor McDavid had 86 assists as the second place player there. And then for rookies this year, we're going to see Frank Nazar score 47 points, tied with Macklin Celebrini. Matvei Michkov scores 36 points. Cutter Gauthier was solid. Lane Hudson was solid. Nicholas Mantapalo, or Matinpalo. I've never actually seen him before, but he's probably been around for a little bit. Liam Ogren played really well. Gavin Brindley got a good season for Columbus. Yeah, lots of solid players. I'm sure lots of these teams are happy with how their guys played. Obviously, Makar was just head and shoulders above the rest of the league there. So that is your stats for the regular season leaders there. Very impressive from certain players. So as far as our player stats in the AHL goes for the regular season, Jagger Firkus was second in team scoring, only behind Brandon Biro, who had a good season. Very solid overall from the AHL as our team actually managed to make the playoffs in the AHL. Not that they're going to go anywhere necessarily, but it's a good start from the system. That's what we like to see. Nicholas Koko won exactly half of his games with a 2.93 goals against average and a 900 save percentage, so very solid from him there. Our rookie skaters did quite well, honestly. I'm very impressed with the group we have there. And as far as the overall scoring in the AHL goes, Vinny Hinostroza was the top guy. But yeah, a few other names that you probably recognize in there. Lots of seasoned veterans. And the best rookie was Matthew Savoy, or Savoy. Everybody says Savoy. I think it's Savoy, but Jackson Blake was solid too. Tristan Leno. Firkus was up there, but 10 points behind Savoy still, as he's pretty much NHL ready. So yeah, that is your AHL season. I'm surprised Askarov, he shouldn't be in the system. Yeah, so there's a roster error just immediately with Askarov being on not San Jose. What are you doing, EA? But yeah, anyways, that was the AHL season. Again, we finished 38, 31, and 3. 14th place just sneaks us into the playoffs. We're not really going to pay attention to the AHL playoffs, but something fun to consider there. So this season for the playoff matchups, here's what we're looking at. Pretty solid playoff matchups for the most part. Hopefully my face cam is not in the way. No, it's not. That's perfect. Okay. So yeah, should be Should be a fun one there for all of the playoffs to see who does what, but we will check back in once the playoffs are over and I've finished up my last round of scouting. We actually have a full solid look at the draft class to end off this episode. Alright, so we're finally done the scouting here, which is great because now that means we can maybe not quite sim to the draft, but we're going to simulate up to the point where we see where the playoffs finish up. So we will finish off the month of May and probably into the month of June, so we'll go to the week of June 8th. Playoffs should be done by then. And I guess we'll wait and see. All right, Edmonton-Boston final, 2-2 apiece. That's a great series. Who we finish right at 3-3, who wins it? Are we going to find out? And it is the Edmonton Oilers. All right, so the Oilers and Henderson Silver Knights win the respective championships this year. Not really surprising. That kind of makes sense. I mean, Henderson, not so much to me, but okay. So yeah, let's go to the Stat Central, see how the playoffs actually played out. So yeah, there you have it. Pretty solid, honestly. That looks like a fairly realistic playoffs. I'm not upset with how that's played out. Chicago making it that far, maybe a little bit questionable, but yeah, okay. Same with Anaheim. Anaheim I don't see making it that far in real life in 2025, but there's your AHL playoffs. Could have been better, could have been worse. Obviously, we got bounced in the first round by the San Jose Barracuda, who then lost to Henderson, who then went on to win. So that is your AHL playoffs. As far as the awards go this year, here are all of your respective players. Hinostroza, Belmar. Yeah, makes sense. I'm surprised Jackson Blake won over Matthew Savoy. He was so much farther ahead in points, but I guess that's where plus-minus comes in. So that is it for your awards there. As far as the NHL awards go figure. Connor McJesus is going to win like 90% of the awards this year. McCarr and McKinnon actually get a couple. Nazar wins one there. Draisaitl gets the Conn Smythe. Ooh, okay. Vasilevsky wins both goalie trophies. Mario Ferraro gets the Masterton. Ottawa's coach wins the Jack Adams. JT Miller with the Selke. McDavid with the Lindsay, and McKinnon with the Rocket. All right, so that is it for this regular season. We are going to simulate up to the draft lottery and see just what happens exactly. And then I will show you guys the draft class because I haven't actually gone and done that yet. But it's improved a bit. That's how I'll describe it. The draft class has improved a little bit. So we will wrap up the episode going into the draft. We'll start next season at the draft because that's pretty much where, I mean, you could argue the draft's at the end of the season every year, but really, in my point of view and perspective, the draft starts off every year for the most part. So that's how we're going to structure this series from now on. So yeah, let's go up to, I believe it's June 17th is usually the date that the draft lottery pops up. So it's probably just before that or just after that. Where is draft interviews is there. So yeah, it's going to be this next day here. So fingers crossed that we see some good movement. Obviously, we are the ninth worst team in the league, so we don't have a ton of great odds, but here we go. And it is going to be Utah moving up to number 1. We are going to stick at pick number 9. San Jose will have pick number 2 and pick number 5. Montreal will have pick number 6 via Calgary. And Chicago also going to have a pick there from Toronto. So lots of movement, lots of changes. Washington rightfully should be pissed off. But apart from that, not too crazy a lottery besides lots of teams having lots of other teams' picks. And at pick number 9, honestly, it's not a bad spot to be. I'm just wondering how is it going to play out with the rest of everything working as far as should we move down in the draft? How's it going to play? I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but Utah winning pick number 1, honestly, kind of cool. I have nothing against that. And all right, let's go look at the draft class because this is what I want to actually show you guys now as far as what we're looking at for the draft lottery here and where we are sitting position-wise. So, unfortunately, we are going to fall not fall a little bit farther. We're going to stay exactly where we were. So we're just a little bit further out of range than I wanted to be, but, we still have guys like Porter Martone. This Mika Pikkarainen actually looks pretty good too, but I would be probably betting on us getting Mika Kiloma as a top defensive elite prospect. That's kind of the guy we're probably looking at more than anybody else. There are goalies and a few other low elites in here. The only guy we didn't get scouted was an Ice League guy, Tobias Abdelschauser, I believe is how you say that. But yeah, besides that, we're going to have picks fairly early on in the second round too. Schaefer is actually looking like a really solid top 4 D-man as well, so he's maybe a guy we could pursue. Noonan, we don't need left wingers, but Noonan could be that same type of player. I was really hoping we might get Easton Kessler, but he's not going to be available. For the third round, we might actually make a trade into the later second round to try and get one of these goalies, because there's 2 elite goalies in here. Kimmo Santala looks like the better of the 2, but really, there's not going to be too big of a difference between those 2 guys. We will probably try to get one of them just via trade. Besides that, I don't see us really looking at a ton of prospects here in this third round, so maybe that third round pick is part of the package that gets traded up. And then into the fourth round, we'd be looking at, again, not a lot. There are some low elite prospects a little bit further down the board here. So a guy like Joshua Ravensburg maybe is a guy that we look to acquire. Obviously, we still have Coco, so we don't need to necessarily acquire a secondary goalie. But Nolan Upshaw, probably going to be a player we pick, even though he is a left winger. He looks very solid. Unfortunately, we didn't get a good scouting report on Ruslan Lizen here, but we might still take a swing at him. Koriston didn't turn out either, so maybe we go with a guy like Ivan Nikitin a little bit further on. Yeah, that's probably about where our draft is going to fall. Gordon Weidman, not a particularly bad option, but not very good either. Obviously, low 4s hardly ever turn out to be NHL players. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. This Tommy Hall guy actually looks pretty solid too. So there's mainly defensemen that we're going to be looking at in this draft. But I mean, if we somehow manage to pull off a trade, the only other pieces that we're really looking to acquire, obviously we're looking for top pairing defensemen. We're looking for that top goalie, which there are elite goalies in here, which we could get. But if we actually go back to the top of the draft, which is just quicker to do it this way, I really, really like Pavel Suglobov. I think he would be a perfect player to pair on the top right wing. I know he's a center, but honestly, 200-foot game, magic hands, skating ability. He looks really good. He doesn't probably doesn't fit the lineup too well, but again, you can only, not every prospect's perfect. You can only dream sometimes, but I mean, I would prefer to get a guy like Suglobov over anybody. So let me know in the comments below, guys. Do we make a trade for this guy here? Trade up pick number 9, or hold on to pick number 9 and just try to, I don't know, maybe put together some other package that gets us the 6th overall pick. It would be difficult for sure, but also potentially an option. And then with pick number 9, we'd obviously be interested in Mika Kiloma as a right D-man, because again, right D-men are very difficult to come by. I mean, we could look at Louis Jaffray too, but I think Kiloma has the better potential and will develop over time to be a top pairing D-man at some point. So that is where we are going to leave it for this episode. In the next episode, we'll start off with the draft, go through the off season into the next season, do this whole thing over again, and stop probably right around the same spot. But that is it for this one. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me through this longer video. If you did, again, show your support with a like, subscription, notification bell, and of course, leave comments as to who you think we should be drafting, what moves we should be making at the draft to start the next season, and any other team moves involved with the Seattle Kraken. But that is it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Etanyos signing out, and until next time.